Welcome to the Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for the Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Mouse jacking, TVs that listen to you, LED lights with cameras and mics, drones, satellites, car cams, security cams, cell phones that track every move we make. Wow.
And a partridge in a...
This is going on now. What can we expect moving forward?
Oh, boy.
I know. Lots of crazy stuff. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Howdy ho.
How's it going?
Not too shabby.
Good, good. I hear you have new marriage proposals.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting this spam now on my Yahoo website, my Yahoo Mail thing.
Okay.
For Russian brides.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Does your wife know about this?
No. Can I safely assume that this was not her idea? Yes. And if it is, what's she trying to tell me?
Exactly.
So cue back in the USSR. You don't know how lucky you are.
You know, I always get spam from the Nigerian princess or whatever. $2 million, $5 million.
Trying to get Krugerrands out of the country.
Yes,
or whatever.
Exactly. I just love it. But
yeah.
You know, I guess this is just one of those things. You know, we talk about this occasionally, but a person just needs to be diligent and use some common sense.
Common sense, which ain't so common, unfortunately.
Yes. You know, if they're asking you they say that you won something and you didn't sign up for it, odds are you probably haven't won anything.
Well, there's this one commercial. I don't even remember the product, which kind of tells you how good a commercial it is. But it has a moment in there where you see this guy doing spackling or something.
Okay.
For a little old lady, and he says, "Oh, we're going to send out for pizza. What's your social security number?" Well, it's 274. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the older folks are very susceptible to this kind of thing.
Which is unfortunate, you know, and hopefully our education, you know, with these type of ads and that type of thing.
My dad, who was 90 years old, he kind of had to learn the hard way.
Really?
We'll tell the story one time.
Okay, that'd be great. So, well, do you want?
Long story short, he got slammed.
Okay. So yeah, and slamming is you want to just.
Well, I was hoping you could explain. You could probably explain it better than I can.
You know, it's been a while since we talked about this.
It's been about 10, 15 years ago
that he got it. Yeah,
it was right when I think it was just starting to happen.
Yeah, I think if memory serves, you know, if you answered a phone call or made a call to a specific number, they would be able to charge you for that.
Right.
Yes. And a lot of times you would be getting services for a long time.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be large amounts.
And they put them on the service without an actual consent to do so.
That's correct. So, you know, they moved him to another phone company or whatever and started charging him $400 a month for something he was paying $30 a month for before.
Bingo. That's what it was.
And before you know it, and then you can't get out of it. And it's just, there was.
Thank you for that, because you had to kind of refresh my memory.
It's been a while since we talked about that.
Yeah.
But, you don't hear about that too much anymore. Yeah. There's just new scams all the time.
And it happened to my dad, who's a pretty wily guy.
Sure.
So, you know, it can happen to anybody if you're not careful.
I had it happen to myself.
Yeah.
Oh. You know, so, I mean, it happens to everybody. You know, you have, and even not that, I guess when I think about this, just a couple of years ago, we got caught up in kind of a similar situation with our cable company as far as internet goes.
Right.
They had promised... You know, this company had promised quite a bit faster service, so our company itself moved over to them, and all of a sudden we start getting all these crazy additional fees, this guy shows up out of Texas to install new equipment, and we're like, what is going on?
A guy
here?
Actually showed up
for thousands of dollars. Yes, so it was not a good situation.
We're here to put your thing in there.
Yep.
Just came in from Texas.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, so that went.
They actually will send a guy.
They sent a guy out to do this, and I'm guessing that we were not the only person or only company that had this situation happen.
Well, yeah, I doubt if they'd send somebody all the way out here for one guy.
Yes. Yeah. So that's as this person was leaving, as we kind of escorted him to the door, we were kind of concerned about others probably falling, victim to the same scam.
Yeah,
you know,
you're giving him the bum's
Yeah,
rush.
oh yeah, yeah. He was removed rather quickly, actually, after
yeah.
we figured it out.
Rather
so.
unceremoniously.
So, mouse jacking. Have you heard of this?
Mouse jacking.
Yes,
Like mouse as in like
in your computer mouse.
what a cat eats.
Yes, exactly. So this is crazy, and you just never know where you're going to be susceptible to the new threat. It's funny that
Right.
we're actually talking about slamming and stuff, because this is what this is about.
Yeah.
If you have a wireless mouse, about 80% of them are susceptible to what's called mouse jacking.
Yeah, I think we have a couple in the building here.
Absolutely, I'm sure you do. I was looking. You do not have one here, but
Not here, no.
But you go to the coffee shop. Almost everybody now is using a regular mouse
Right.
with their laptop.
Yeah.
And these are wireless.
A lot of people have them in their houses.
They
now.
do. Yeah, I use one at the office, and many of our people that at our office use it as well. So, what happens is that with about $15 worth of the equipment, you can sit up to 280 yards away
Oh,
from the computer and run somebody else's computer, and on top of that, send. You think about you're just mousing over something where you can click on something or whatever.
right.
But that is actually a computer program that's going on in the background, and you can do a lot more with that. So if you were to divert your eyes or walk out of your office cubicle or
Yeah.
whatever for 30 seconds, they could implant a virus, they could implant key logging, they could do whatever through your wireless mouse.
This stuff is getting scary.
It's just unbelievable. It's like every time you turn around, there is some other vulnerability.
It's the constant race between the better mousetrap and the bigger mouse, so to speak.
I think this is the thing with all of this, is that whoever would have thought that you would have to do some type of encryption to stop somebody from mouse jacking.
Yeah.
So there's no security built in any of this stuff. I mean, they just didn't think who would think of these things, right? But somebody has, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just like we were talking about the TVs that can listen to you. That is obviously done on purpose.
Yeah.
But it's just something that you would never dream in our lifetimes, that you'd be sitting there watching your TV, and it has the capability of listening to your conversation as well. So crazy stuff. It really is.
Amazing.
So anyway, my advice now is that if you're concerned, if you're in an area where you do things that are maybe a little in the public, if
You're in the public eye, as Tom Petty once said.
So, exactly. So, if you, a lot of times, we talk a lot about don't use public Wi-Fi if you're doing banking and stuff. Tether off of your smartphone instead. Use that internet because that's secure. Well, now somebody can mouse jack you. So you better make sure that your mouse is also encrypted and secure, because somebody could be sitting across the coffee shop, could be sitting outside in their car.
Yeah.
They could be doing all kinds of things from a distance that you have no clue this is even going on, and will take over. Could take over your computer. They could implant code in your computer. They could do all kinds of nefarious things. So another thing to be concerned about when it comes to I guess identity theft and all this other stuff. So if you have an older mouse, my suggestion is to go buy a new mouse.
Go get a new
mouse. I hate
mouse.
to say that, but it's $15 or $25. I would certainly go do that and make sure it has encryption built into it, because if it doesn't, you're just asking. And especially if you're doing a lot of stuff in coffee shops, or if you're a government official, or if you're a nuclear physicist or whatever it is, know that somebody can get into your computer now through the mouse.
Yeah.
Insane, in my opinion.
Insane. Amazing.
So anyway,
There's something else to be paranoid about.
I even hate to bring these things up on this show anymore, because this seems to be all we talk about lately, is all the ways that people can get into your computer and steal your stuff. So and after the break, everybody, we're going to be talking a little bit about LED lights and what's going on there, drones, satellites, all kinds of crazy ways that people. I'm just going to scare people today, Jim. That's all there is.
Well, this will be our Halloween show.
Yeah, early, right?
Yeah.
So come on back, everybody.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank the listeners who follow us across the country and around the world on the Blueberry Network.
Thank you.
The Tech Podcast Network, Tuned In, Roku, iTunes, and of course our own app, Radio Pup.
Yay.
We were talking about ways that people can spy on us, I guess you could say.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. This mouse jacking thing, I'm still thinking about it over the last segment here. I just can't get over how people are just figure out new ways all the time to scam
American
us.
ingenuity. Well, it's around the world,
Yeah,
actually.
it is, yeah.
Them
Yeah.
folks in Eastern Europe, they're big on this kind of thing.
Oh,
A
yeah,
lot of them,
absolutely.
Anywhere
Absolutely.
where the economy is really, really bad.
And in fact, the governments of some of these countries actually encourage it. It's almost a growth industry. For
Really?
them. Oh yeah, yeah.
They-
Nigeria, Russia. I mean, they either don't have laws, or if they do have something on the books, they don't enforce it.
So you're saying, or they look the other way.
Yeah, yeah.
They go.
It's crazy. I mean, there are situations where a lot of this stuff where they call you, or they put, you get the FBI virus on your computer or whatever.
Right, we've talked about that.
Yeah, we have. These people actually on the other side of this get benefits. They have health benefits. They have vacation pay. They have all this other stuff. So it's like I said, it's an industry in some
I would
parts of the
think that
world.
would not sit too well with our State Department.
Not here, no.
Not here, no.
No, but in other parts of the world, like I said, it's a growth industry for some of them. So just crazy stuff, it really is. So I was at the Trade and Transportation Summit in Estevan last week. Mm-hmm. And
How is Gloria?
It's doing fine.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
That's a joke.
Estevan, Saskatchewan.
Ah.
Actually, yes. And it was interesting. There's a lot of people there. Of course, the trade, transportation, a lot of technology in there. Of course, autonomous vehicles were talked about extensively at this conference. There's a gentleman by the name of Paul Godsmark out of Edmonton.
Yeah.
And he heads up the Center for Automobile Excellence, or Automotive Excellence, I think it is. So presented about a half hour on autonomous vehicles, and basically said that you better be ready because they are coming. You just have to be prepared. So if you're in an industry that relies heavily on transportation, get ready because your industry is about ready to be turned upside down.
Now, where is Canada on all of this? Because we're right on the border here. We do have folks from Canada who listen to our show,
Yes.
I know. Where do they stand via what we're doing? Are they ahead of us? Are they behind us? Or are they what?
I would
Or is it pretty much the same market?
Yeah, I would say on the autonomous vehicle side, they probably lag a little bit on our side. But on the UAV side, or drones, as we like to call them, they probably are a little ahead of us as far as regulations. I actually got to put my drone up when I was there, which I thought was kind of fun. The mayor of Estevan actually came out and let us fly it around a little bit. So.
Well, Canada's interesting because people in America think of them as a socialist country in a lot of ways.
Right.
But they actually do have a very thriving market economy.
They do.
In a lot of areas. In a lot of areas, they have a freer market than we do.
It is kind of interesting, actually, But on the other side of that, I thought it was also interesting that most of the town closed by 6. Where here, of course, your supermarkets and everything else will stay open until whenever they
all night. You wake up at 3 in the morning.
Right,
you need something. You go to the loaf and jug.
Yeah, so it is kind of a challenge, I think, if you're employed or whatever through the evening for mine work or whatever, that there isn't a lot of choices. But other than that, it was pretty cool to be there. I haven't been to Canada for a few years, surprisingly, but yeah. There's a lot of things in that arena, that a lot of talk about border crossing. How do we bring autonomous vehicles across the border?
Good question.
That type of thing.
Because obviously the terrorist thing comes into play.
It does, absolutely. And I know when I went across too, the border agent had asked, what do I have in the vehicle? And I had stated that I had a drone. And her first question to me is, are you planning to video anything? And it didn't even occur to me what she was getting to until later in the day. But because of that, I believe that's why they detained me and
planning to video.
So I suppose they thought I was going to put the drone up and then video, whatever, a
Maybe
power
do
plant
some surveillance.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So they actually really checked out my background before. I mean, I was in
Now,
that
was this
office
going into Canada?
Into Canada.
Into Canada,
Into Canada,
okay.
so-
Because when I went to Canada 10 years ago, I mean, I just got right in. A Mountie came out, very friendly fellow.
Right.
And we talked for about 30 seconds, and he waved me
That's
on.
generally how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe
Now,
that
coming back
because-
is a little bit of a hassle.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I had no issue at all coming back, but going in because of the drone, I think, and because of the kind of drone that I had with
Right.
me, or UAV, I guess. I think that's kind of why they did a little more in-depth background check on me.
I
before went
see.
across.
Okay.
So, because it was interesting actually that they detained me that long like again, it didn't occur to me until later on
Yeah.
why this whole thing was going on. But anyway,
What hockey team do you like? They give the wrong answer.
I better be better prepared next time with
Yeah.
my hockey
Yeah.
information. obviously.
Toronto. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, you can
yeah,
come in.
exactly.
Okay, yeah. What kind of coffee you drink? Tim Hortons. Come on in. Come on in.
I did have some Timbits while I was up there.
Did you?
Oh yeah. I had to go do that. That was the first thing I did actually.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think that's an amazing story.
Oh, we could do a whole show about the things you can get in Canada that you can't get here, and vice versa.
And I brought some. Have you ever had the Macintosh caramel or toffee?
No.
Oh yeah, that's a big tradition too.
You're allowed to bring that back?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So I should have brought
Obviously.
some out with you today.
Yeah.
Out today.
How about Cuban cigars? They're still kind of iffy here, but
I'm not sure.
they're
about
still
that.
working on it here.
We should actually do a show on that. That's a good
Yeah.
idea. That would be
Well, we
fun.
got a great cigar place right here in town.
Yeah,
a couple of them.
yeah, that's a great idea. Great idea. So we were talking a little bit about LED lights,
Yeah.
and that type of thing, and we're kind of dedicating the show to how people can spy on you now. So, LED lights, for better or worse, and most people like them. They're expensive yet, of course.
Sure.
But when you put them in, they last for 50,000 hours. You can dramatically
Oh, yeah.
lower the cost of your electric bill with them, and they actually provide pretty good lighting. So I'm a big fan of LED lights, but of course they're starting because they don't need the whole light bulb to create light. They're the little light emitting diodes, right? And
Really?
yeah, so you have that whole thing that you can play with.
See, I was not aware of this.
So what's going on now is
Very efficient.
It's very efficient. But what's going on now is they're starting to put other things in them. So I have a couple of light bulbs that have speakers in them. So you can, put the light bulb in and then sync it to your computer or
Yeah.
your iPhone or
I love
whatever and play tunes through it or listen to the show through it or whatever, right? Works pretty cool. There are some that have mics built into them. So now you can listen and
Microphone.
talk to people,
Yeah.
or you can listen to whoever, right?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing this out there, right? And of course, there are some now that have added cameras to the light bulbs. So now you have an LED light that has a camera.
Now you got that
and a
Big
mic.
Brother thing we're coming
Yes,
back to
that's
again.
That's exactly what. So I'm only bringing this up because you're in wherever.
In old Soviet Union, light bulb watches you. Well, something like that.
That's pretty good,
Thank
actually.
you, thank you.
But that is that crazy again? I mean, we're talking about mouse jacking a little bit ago,
Yeah.
right? Now we're talking about the ability for light bulbs to spy on you. So you could be wherever. And yes, we have security cams everywhere we go now. But, you just don't think about the non-intrusive light bulb that's sitting above us right now
Yeah.
in here that could possibly have that ability.
Well, we all know from those old spy movies that they can put a little camera inside almost anything.
Almost anything.
Yeah.
And because now you don't need all of the incandescent, the fixture inside the light bulb, it's just basically there for looks. They're just
Right.
putting all this other stuff in there. You never know what they're going to put into them next.
Yeah.
You have a power source. Mm-hmm. So when you think about if you have a power source, what can you add to a device when it doesn't need all that room anymore? And every house, every business has light bulb sockets. So I think you're going to be amazed at what's going to go on in the LED light industry and the ability to add things, to those devices as we move forward. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, after the break, everybody, we will continue this discussion, talk a little bit about Planet Labs and the new drones in space. So come on back.
Drones in space.
Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So we were just talking a little bit ago about some of the autonomous vehicles and things that we've seen up at Estevan last week. And there is actually some new news, not old news, but new news that have just come out on the autonomous front. A gentleman by the name of Anthony Lewandowski. He was actually leading the charge for the Google autonomous vehicle. We've actually had Anthony on the show about a year and a half ago for a segment one time.
So it's in the archives.
Yeah, somewhere, yes. And anyway, he has actually left Google to start a company with a few other gentlemen called Otto.
Okay.
OTTO. He might be calling it Otto. It could
Otto.
go either way, but OTTO is a kit that you add to a big rig, to a semi.
Well, let's get him back.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Yeah.
And it's an aftermarket self-driving tech. So it's not something that you buy a car or a truck that has the technology built into it.
Yeah.
He's thinking that the way this will probably go in the future is that he wants people to be able to buy a kit that you can adapt a current car and make it autonomous.
Wow.
It's an interesting concept.
Oh, the truck. Didn't he do a Simpsons episode where Homer was driving a truck for some guy and they actually had an autonomous setup in it?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Really?
I'll do dig that one out.
Yeah, that'd
probably
be
on
great.
YouTube somewhere.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, that's fantastic. So anyway, it's just kind of an interesting twist on it and a way for maybe a person or companies moving forward that if you have a vehicle that you want to keep, you don't want to move into an autonomous vehicle or buy a new one, you'll be able to actually just purchase a kit and adapt it.
Get in the car in the morning and start doing your work, or just kick back and read the newspaper, whatever.
That's kind of where we're going. It's kind of amazing. It really is. So anyway, we're talking about ways that people can spy on you. The LED light thing, which kind of freaks me out a little bit too.
Yeah.
We talked a couple weeks ago about the TVs that can listen to you, and maybe if you haven't heard this story, we'll just refresh everybody's memory a little bit. So there's some TVs out there now that actually have the ability to listen to you. So as you, and of course, the new TVs don't ever really go off either. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but you turn them off with the remote control, but the light's still on.
Yeah, there's like a little tiny little blue light there.
It's always active because it's doing firmware updates or whatever's going on. So these TVs have the ability to listen to you even if you've turned them off.
Yeah.
So, of course, the companies like Samsung, not to pick on anybody in particular, but they are the ones that kind of brought this technology forward.
Right.
They claim that it's for advertising purposes, that they just want to listen to you. So if you're talking about, if there's a Doritos commercial on and you're like, I don't really like Doritos, they harvest this information.
Yeah.
So then in the future, when they are putting commercials out on demand, which is where we're going with even regular television, that they can customize that commercial experience to you. But again, it's just like what we were talking about with mouse jacking and everything else earlier. There's not a lot of security built into television.
It just occurred to me a couple of minutes ago. I was thinking about this. As soon as I said it, I said, read the newspaper, which shows you my age. It shows you how old I am.
Sure.
But it occurred to me that's probably one of the few things in which they haven't figured out yet how to monitor you. You open an old-fashioned newspaper. It's kind of hard to imagine. They got a really, really thin computer chip in here somewhere. It's looking back at me.
Do you want me to scare you a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. That is possible.
It is possible.
It is. They're actually doing printed circuits now.
You have to be literally paper thin.
And you attach it to a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And this piece of paper can then be a remote control. It can turn your lights on and off. It can be Wi-Fi, and it's you can fold it just like you would a piece of paper.
So going back to the pre-McLuhanite days of the newspaper is not gonna help you.
I would imagine that you're probably not going to be buying newspapers with chips in them simply because they're probably not going to want to have that cost.
Yeah, I'm an old guy. There's not too many places you can buy an actual newspaper anymore.
It's becoming kind of, and I'm with you. I love being able to pick up a newspaper and read it. I just don't read them as much as I used to.
I used to get the New York Times. It used to be you could get the New York Times anywhere in the country. Yeah, and delivered to you. Yeah. Or there was a newsstand in just about every town in America of any size. You could get and get the New York Times. I used to get for like the crossword puzzle and just to kind of read what was happening on
Sure.
the national scale. You can't do that so much anymore.
No.
They've got a website.
Yep.
Not for me. It's not the same experience.
It isn't the same because you don't have that browsing experience.
And you don't
like
get the
you
inky
normally do.
fingers.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
miss the days of the paper.
I
really
miss
do.
my inky fingers.
So, but yeah, there's just all kinds of crazy. So we're going to talk a little bit about drones as well.
Right.
Drones in space.
Drones in space.
Need to have our own little segment music for that,
Yeah.
I think. But so there's a company called Planet Lab that has they now have 128 satellites in space. They're about the size of a small drone.
Okay.
So like the little speaker you have in front of you or whatever. Very
Oh
very
yeah,
small.
a lot of satellites are really small.
Very small. They don't need to be big anymore.
Yeah.
They just have to have they have to have the ability to collect enough power, so they'll have
Yeah.
a little bit of a solar grid on them or whatever, just so that they can function. But that's about it. So these things are designed to take photos of Earth, and they will take a photo. 120 of them will take a photo of Earth every day.
Okay.
So the premise behind this, of course, is that if you have a farm, for example,
Sure.
and you don't want to put a UAV above your farm, you can actually subscribe to Planet Labs and pay them a fee, or one of their resellers, or whatever, pay a fee, let's say a quarter an acre or whatever, to get
Yeah.
a photo of your farm. What's crazy about this, and Jim, just put your nose about a foot out in front of that speaker that you got right
Okay,
there.
that's
All
about a
right.
foot.
No, you're about 2 feet actually. But
Okay, how's that?
all right, pretty good. So it looks different at 1 foot than it does from 3 or 4 feet away, doesn't it? I mean, you can probably see more detail
yeah.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing that up is because this is the clarity of the photos that you can now get from satellite.
Wow.
They claimed a 0.3 meters, which is about a foot.
Got the
So
hair on your head.
take anything and put it a foot in front of your eyes and look
Yeah.
at it, and that's as good as the photograph is coming from space with Planet Labs
Yeah.
drones now. So again, and anybody can get these photos. So
Anybody has access to them.
anybody has access. If you're willing to pay them a little bit of money, because
Okay.
this is something that is a business, and so if you want to monitor your property or whatever, you can do that with them. They're going to come out with plans like that. So, if you're a farmer or a rancher and want to take a snapshot of your property once a day and have it emailed to you, so you
Yeah.
can see if that grain truck is still sitting there while you're sitting in Arizona or whatever, so that you know that nobody has stolen it or broke into your place or what have you. You can do that with this, or check on your crops occasionally,
Right.
whatever. But there's all kinds of other things here.
A couple of years ago, I was thinking I used whatever the Google service is called, where you can get that satellite photograph of
yeah.
anywhere.
Yep.
And
Google
I
Maps.
entered my old address. When I was a kid, we lived in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
Lake Worth, actually, for
Sure.
about a year. And I entered the address, and there it was. Didn't look the same. Of course, the perspective's a little different.
Sure.
But,
Well, and I think Google Maps
yeah.
up until this time, the county the counties across the country were obligated by law to take photos of the county every 10 years.
Oh, is that what it was?
So what Google did
So
to
it wasn't
start-
a real-time live picture
not a
necessarily.
real-time live. It was,
Okay.
and generally they were stitched together, and you would find that, and even in our area, let's say the Bismarck-Mandan area,
Yeah.
when it first started, the resolution in town was better than when you went out in the country, because they had more current mapping or more
Right.
current photos of over us than out when you went in the country.
Yeah.
But that is getting better all the time. And you know what? I can't say never. There may be a day when you will be able to get a live video stream from wherever to
Yeah.
wherever. So this old property that you were at, it's possible, I suppose, in the near future that you would be able to take a satellite and it would actually be live video coming from
So maybe
it.
there's some guy sitting there on a park bench, and you can actually zero in on what the guy's looking at on his smartphone.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't say never anymore. I just
Yeah.
don't know how that's possible. But as we have more and more satellites in the air, I guess anything is possible.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody, after the break, we will continue our discussion on how people can spy on you. So come on back.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we'll pass it over to Mr. Walter Cronkite for an update on Sputnik.
It was a shiny metal bird with a distinctly Russian accent.
Thank you, Walter.
Sputnik 1. Beep, beep, beep. And then there was space. The motorcade sped... Oh, no, wrong story. I'm sorry.
So we go from that to drones in space now.
Drones in space.
Crazy, crazy stuff. So are you familiar with the Amazon Echo, Jim?
The Amazon Echo. Sounds like a model of a car, doesn't it?
So it's a device. I have one of these, actually.
The new 2016 Amazon Echo goes from 0 to minus 12 in a year.
Well, you know what Siri is, of course.
Of course.
You talk to Siri and answers back.
Yeah.
And gives you information.
She's like the female version of HAL 9000.
Yeah. So think of this now. The Amazon Echo is a device that sits in your house or your office that does the exact same thing. You don't have to have a computer or your smartphone attached to it. It just, I ask it, I'll say Alexa. Alexa's her name, the one I have at my house. And I'll say, Alexa, what's the forecast for tonight? And almost instantaneously, she'll come back and say what the forecast is.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, Alexa, play the Thompson Twins, and she'll come back shuffling the Thompson Twins, and the next thing you know, and she's got this beautiful speaker. It's amazing. How far is it from here to Minneapolis? And she'll give me that information. It's just absolutely amazing to have this. And then you can run things with it too. I can add things to my calendar. I can turn my lights on and off, and all kinds of great stuff. So the Amazon Echo came out a few months ago. Runs about $200.
Yeah.
And actually, I can't imagine my life without it now. I've actually become very accustomed to it because I use it for calendaring all the time. Alexa, what's my next appointment? Your next appointment is the Tech Ranch at 11 o'clock on Monday. Thank you, Alexa. So she'll tell me all these things, right? Now, but of course, not to be outdone, Google has now come out, or is about ready to come out, with what's called the Google Assistant. So the Assistant will do everything from buying movie tickets, making a reservation for family dinner, navigation to any given destination. And this is very interesting to me. So Google, of course, has language translation. You actually have the translator built into your phone. Imagine a device now in your home or in your office where if somebody comes in and speaks French, that the device sitting on your desk will automatically translate it and speak English to you. And when you speak English, it just bang, just right to French.
I like that.
Is that amazing or what? This is Star Trek type of stuff.
It is, yeah.
It's unbelievable when you think about it.
Well, the geezer he was telling me he had the original version of what you're talking about.
And that is?
His wife.
The translator.
Yeah, she'd say, "Hey, nuthead, take out the garbage." See, that's how he would be
original
reminded.
Translator. Yeah, exactly. So that was his Alexa.
And you don't want to hear the alternate language they used. I already talked to him about that.
But this is, it's interesting, and like I said, I'm getting used to using this, but this is another device that's in your home or in your office now that will be spying on you.
Oh, great.
So, you think about this. The whole purpose of the device is to listen all the time.
Yeah.
Now, you throw keywords at it, like mine is Alexa. I have to say Alexa first, and then that triggers the Amazon Echo to be prepared for the question I'm going to ask. By the way, it tells knock-knock jokes. My grandson, 4-year-old grandson, is in love with Alexa. I don't know if I told you this, but he has this little girlfriend at daycare.
Oh,
and
cool.
Anyway, we were talking about this the other day, and I said, "Well, who's your girlfriend again?" It's Alexa. he just because she listens to him. He'll ask her questions and plays knock-knock jokes with them and tells them jokes.
Oh, that's great.
It's tells them bedtime stories. He'll say, Alexa, tell me a bedtime story. And it'll actually insert his name into the bedtime story. It's just unbelievable what it's capable of, So pretty impressed with it. But again, it's another thing that's going to be in your household that's listening to you.
Yeah.
So you just have to use some common sense and make sure that you're not dropping passwords and things like this verbally anymore, because you may have some issues down the road if somebody hacks into this stuff and is listening to the things that you're saying.
So it's cued by use a certain word, and it cues it to give you
That's
whatever
correct.
it is you need.
But it is always listening. And
Like on Star Trek,
yeah.
computer,
That's-
how many light years to Uranus or whatever.
That is exactly how this works.
Okay.
That's exactly how it works. So, and I would imagine that you could probably even program it so that when you say the word computer, that it actually triggers instead of Alexa, so.
Hello,
yeah.
computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. From the old
Scotty
wasn't that
holding
Scotty
the-
holding
yeah,
the
the
mouse.
mouse,
Yeah,
the
that
mouse,
was
yes.
that was pretty hilarious.
Hello,
actually.
computer.
Yes. All right. Let's see what else I got on my list here today. We're talking. Oh yeah. So our smart devices. Talk about things that spy on us. Oh my goodness. Now you
yeah.
and I have had some experience with this. You lost your phone recently. I lost my phone
Yeah.
recently, and of course we both have Android.
Oh,
So
about once a week I misplace my phone.
okay.
Yeah.
But there's an Android Device Manager is what it's called. So you can hop
Right.
in there, and if you leave your phone wherever, it'll show you where you left it at. You know?
Ah, okay.
And so a couple months ago, after I misplaced my phone, I'm on this thing, and I'm looking at it, and it had this feature that if you had your phone turned off or if it runs out of power, it'll show you the last known place it was at. So, I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll click on that. And here is this map of just these lines crisscrossing the United States to all the places I have been.
I love that.
And it was cool to look at.
Yeah.
But then I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, my
People
phone
know where you've been, yeah.
knows everywhere I have been. If you're carrying your phone with you, there is a record now out there of where
You were in
go.
Salt Lake City on July 7th, whatever, then
It knows
people know.
this.
Yeah,
It knows this. Now, I don't know. I'm guessing that this isn't for public consumption because it's part of your private record, but Google knows where
I
you've
imagine it
been.
wouldn't be that hard to access the information.
I don't think it would be that hard at all.
Somebody once told me with about $100 in 24 hours time, he could find out anything I needed to know about just
I can
about
believe
anybody.
That. Yeah, yeah, I can believe that. So, this is just I guess, you got to just kind of get used to the fact that we're being spied on all the time, and it's
Yeah.
just getting worse.
Kind of make yourself over to it.
I guess so. I mean,
Don't worry about it.
Are
Don't
you-
sweat it.
but are you uncomfortable about it, or do you just don't worry about it?
I just don't think about it.
Okay.
If they're watching me while I'm in the bathroom, then I'll just learn to, I don't know, urinate with style.
I guess that's the case, isn't it? So,
Interesting little word picture there, but
Yeah,
I think you get the point.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it yet. I guess
Yeah.
maybe I'm a little more private person, but I've been on computers forever.
Yeah.
So I guess I have to kind of, live with it too. I have noticed though that millennials
Yeah.
could care less. If you're under 30, you probably don't even care
Well,
about
they
it.
take it for granted.
They do. They
Yeah.
just assume, and I've noticed that with millennials too when it comes to video. People who are getting interviewed, or if there's people around you
Yeah.
taking photos or whatever. Yours and my age bracket. If there's somebody around taking photos and you don't want to be in a photo,
Yeah, you
I
might
see
get a
this
little nervous about
you
it.
duck out of the photo. I used to see this all the time. If there's some newspaper or something taking photos, you just sneak out to the backside or whatever and not be included in the photo. Millennials, because they are around it all the time,
Yeah.
people are up with their cameras and their phones taking pictures and video all the time, don't think anything of it because they grew up with it.
It's like a fish in water. The fish is not aware that it's in water.
They're just used
It's
to it.
just the environment it's in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you just know that if you're at a public event somewhere or whatever, you're probably going to show up on Facebook or
Yeah.
Twitter or something later on because of it. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, been interesting, Jim?
Oh, it's been great. It's been an absolute blast.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love these sessions.
I love it when you and I get a chance to just sit down and discuss.
It really
things.
makes Monday kind of cool. It makes it Monday a thing I look forward to every week.
Absolutely, me too. All right, everybody, have a great week.